your own country ruthlessly abandons you in its darkest hour, would you still march off to die for those fake political honors? That's the raw, blood-soaked question the movie The Warrior slams you with right from the opening scene. It's 1375 AD. The old world has just collapsed. Zhu Yuanzhang has kicked the Mongols out of the Central Plains and founded the Ming Empire. Far across the sea on the Korean peninsula, the Kingdom of Goryeo is tearing itself apart in political chaos. Desperate to survive the new order, Goryeo sends a huge diplomatic mission, warriors, officials, and slaves, to Nanjing, hoping to deliver a peace letter.
황성을 짓느라 성내가 아주 복잡해서 임시로 주는 회동관으로 모시겠답니다.
But from the very first step, this is a suicide mission dressed up as politics. Because Goryeo's internal mess had already gotten a Ming envoy killed, the Ming emperor brands the entire delegation as spies sent to provoke trouble. The second their feet touch Chinese soil, there's no red carpet, just cold steel and drawn weapons. Persuaded by the Goryeo envoy, General Choi Jeong of the Goryeo army reluctantly ordered everyone to lay down their weapons. However, giving up one's dignity brings no benefit. The Ming troops shackle them and march the whole group toward the northwest desert known as the Sea of Death, launching them on an endless road of exile. Inside that convoy, noble-born General Choi Jeong clings fiercely to warrior honor and rank, ready to draw his longsword the moment anyone disrespects him. The lowest slave, Yeong-cheol, stays silent and wolf-like, protecting his master purely on instinct. There's also the experienced veteran Jin Lib, a provincial army officer who knows human life is cheaper than dirt and only wants to get his men home alive. Just when everyone thinks things can't get worse, the real nightmare begins. Out of nowhere in the desert, a crack Mongol cavalry unit, the last remnants of the Yuan dynasty, slams into them. The Ming escort is butchered in seconds. The unarmed Goryeo delegation is cut down like wheat. After the slaughter, the Mongols ride off. The chief envoy, mortally wounded, hands the pointless mission over to the old deputy envoy. The 20-some survivors are now completely abandoned by the world. The deputy wants to stay put and wait for the Ming to clear up the mistake. Choi Jeong knows the official papers are gone. Staying means they'll be scapegoats. So he makes an insane call. They will walk straight across the lifeless heart of the desert and head home to Goryeo on foot. The road home is destined to be difficult. Food and water run out fast. The Chinese-speaking but spineless translator Park Jumyong cracks first, sobbing that this sand is everyone's grave. The old deputy collapses, begging for rest. When Choi Jeong tries to force him forward, the deputy's slave Yeong-cheol actually blocks the horse in defiance. After the deputy pleads, Choi Jeong spares him. Choi Jeong sets a brutal marching rule: 1 meal a day, march day and night. Knowing he's dying, the deputy formally frees Yeong-cheol from slavery on his deathbed.
여긴 이하이 말이야. 이후로는 더 이상 노비가 아니야.
Before Choi Jeong can object, a starving soldier is caught stealing food. Choi Jeong orders him executed as an example.
전시의 도적질한 자는 용서할 수 없다. 군량을 간수 못한 자시 마찬가지.
An old soldier kneels, begs for his subordinate, and offers to take the punishment instead. Choi Jeong personally swings the rod, 20 crushing blows across the old soldier's back. That same evening, the adjutant, due to old age and frailty, also passed away. The next morning, Yeong-cheol drags his former master's body alone into the deep desert to bury it. Choi Jeong ordered the horses to be recalled and said coldly,
시신을 매장해! 말은 영웅운이 맞는다.
On the edge of total collapse, they stumble upon an inn in the dunes. The innkeeper pulls a knife and demands money. A stranded Goryeo monk named Jisan steps in, smooths things over, and everyone finally gets a real meal. Then a heavily armed Mongol force surrounds the place. Inside a luxurious carriage sits the Ming Emperor's own daughter, Princess Furong. Night falls. Choi Jeong received a blood-written plea for help from the princess. The next day, Choi Jeong believed that if they could rescue Princess Furong and safely escort her back to Nanjing, the Ming Dynasty would surely clear their name and grant them a large ship to send them home. Driven by this unexpected political windfall, he did not hesitate to order an attack on the Mongol army. Jin Lib drops the Mongol commander with the first arrow. Choi Jeong leads his elite Dragon Tiger soldiers in a frontal charge. A bloody war broke out. Yeong-cheol, as brave as a tiger, defeated the Mongol general and rescued Princess Furong. The princess promised a generous reward if the Goryeo army could escort her to Nanjing, and specifically requested that Yeong-cheol serve as her personal bodyguard. Yeong-cheol coldly refuses and stares Choi Jeong down, announcing he is now a free man. Choi Jeong draws his sword in fury. The princess steps in and stops the fight, keeping Yeong-cheol with the group. However, the defeated Mongol General Rahamu reported to his commander that the princess had been rescued. The Mongol commander explodes with rage and gives Rahamu a kill order. Get the princess back, no matter what. To shake the Yuan vanguard chasing them, Choi Jeong uses a second carriage as bait. Young soldier Nanjing is forced to drive it. Yeong-cheol volunteers to go with him. Before they leave, the princess ties her handkerchief to Yeong-cheol's spear and tells him to come back alive.
别忘了，保护公主是你的责任，一定要回来。
The cunning Mongol commander sees through the trick and orders every river crossing burned. While Yeong-cheol battles the pursuers, the Goryeo group reaches the ford only to find it destroyed. The Ming Dynasty refugees who escaped from the ferry crossing followed closely behind, severely slowing down the march. The princess suggested going to the coastal earthen city guarded by the Ming army, finding a large ship, and returning home. Everyone grits their teeth and agrees, for the ship. That night, Yeong-cheol and Nanjing miraculously rejoin them. The next day, Yuan scouts appear again. Choi Jeong leads the Dragon Tiger unit to cover the princess. In a brutal forest ambush, Choi Jeong takes a serious wound. Jinlib sends Nanjing to lure the enemy away and save the general, but the Mongols still catch up to the princess's group. In the chaos, Yeong-cheol saves her once more. After the fight, the battered Choi Jeong orders an immediate march.
휴식을 끝내 이동한다.
우린 눈 좀 붙이다가 갑시다.
새벽에 출발하는 게 좋습니다.
이놈이 조종을 하고 있다는 걸 다 알고 있어.
The exhausted soldiers finally snap. They mutiny, elect the steady Jinlib as new leader, and strip Choi Jeong of command.
형님이 우리를 이끌면 어떡하시오?
놈들을 당장 결박하라.
토성까진 진대장에게 행군을 맡기십니다.
너희들 힘으로 여기까지 왔다고 생각하나? 누군가 힘든 결정을 내려야 했어.
Choi Jeong leaves the group alone.
为什么没人留住他？将军回来！
한 사람의 잘못으로 이 지경이 됐다고 생각하나?
제 바람은 우리 모두가 고향으로. 이거를 미리 알고 행동할 만큼.
The next day, the troops encountered Choi Jeong, who was seriously wounded, lying on the ground during their march. The princess acknowledges his leadership skill and invites him back.
不管别人说什么，你始终是个将军，一起走吧。
After months of fleeing for their lives, the Goryeo army finally reached the coastal fortress. They push open the gates and feel their stomachs drop. It's a long-abandoned ruin. No Ming troops. Not a single ship on the water. Every last hope dies right there. While they stand frozen, a black tide of Mongol horsemen rolls in and seals the fortress tight. The Yuan troops shout, "Hand over Princess Furong and you live." That offer breaks the survivors. While they're arguing, the gate suddenly flies open. Yeong-cheol charged out like lightning, killing the Mongolian translator. Jinlib on the wall draws his bow and drops the fleeing envoy. Everyone grips their weapons for the final stand. That night, Jinlib begs Choi Jeong to take full command because he's the best general they have. Choi Jeong refuses.
장군님께서 지휘해 주십시오.
다시는 웃음꼴을 당하고 싶지 않아.
The fiercest siege began the following day. Goryeo soldiers fought desperately to defend the city. Just as the Goryeo army was on the verge of collapse, the Mongol army, grieving the death of their Khan, withdrew. However, the brutal Mongols cut off the city's only water supply. Amidst fierce fighting and scorching sun, a Ming Dynasty refugee is about to give birth, but there is not a drop of water in the city. In order to get a life-saving sip of water for the baby and the pregnant woman, soldier Nanjing sneaked into the enemy camp at night. Unfortunately, he was discovered by a patrol. He first desperately threw his water bottle back onto the city wall, then struggled to climb up the rope. Just as he was about to reach the top, he was shot dead by a Mongol general. Nanjing's tragic death shattered the sanity of the survivors. The one-eyed soldier, enraged, declared that it was all because of the princess that they had ended up in such a predicament. In the chaos and despair, Princess Furong rode out of the city to surrender to the Mongols, but was stopped by Yeong-cheol. At this moment, the Mongol army arrived. Choi Jeong appeared on horseback, escorted the princess back to the city, and then charged into the enemy ranks with Yeong-cheol. The lieutenant then joined the battle, seized a horse, and carried the wounded Choi Jeong back to the city. Yeong-cheol was captured by the Mongol army. The lieutenant was also killed by Mongol soldiers. The princess was heartbroken and didn't know what to do.
恐怕我再也坚持不下去了，
장군이라고 불릴 자격도 없습니다.
都是我的错。
Faced with this situation, Choi Jeong finally lowered his proud head and discussed with Jin Lieb the possibility of leading the army in the decisive battle. That night, everyone gathered to prepare for the decisive battle, the next day. The next morning, the bloodiest siege of all begins. Fireballs rain down, the walls are ripped apart, and the battle turns into a pure meat grinder in the flames. The once cowardly translator Park Ju-myung dies saving a child. Goryeo soldiers fight to the last man, none retreating. Even the princess picks up a blade.
全都出去，一起打！
The one-eyed soldier hacks down several foes before falling in blood. Yeong-cheol charges into the enemy, killing furiously. Choi Jeong duels the vengeance-driven commander Rambulhua. Just as Rambulhua is about to kill the princess, Yeong-cheol throws his body in front of the fatal arrow. Choi Jeong and Rambulhua kill each other. At the cost of nearly total annihilation, they carve a path for Princess Furong. Only Jin Lieb survives. He sails a small boat away from Princess Furong, heading home alone to Goryeo. The princess stands on the shore with tears streaming down her face, watching him disappear across the waves. This savage, heartbreaking film rips the pretty lies off war. On the giant chessboard of power, the lives of ordinary soldiers are worth less than a horse. The little boat rocks on the waves, just like the prophecy at the end of the film. Their bodies stay forever in the wilderness, but in the moment they drew their blades and fought to the death, their unbreakable souls had already crossed 1,000 mountains and rivers and returned to the homeland they dreamed of.